Okay, we have the green bars, we have the live counter sticking up, so we should now be live, which of course means welcome back to the Storytime Network. It is the first Paradox Hour podcast that's not been anime based since I'm barely sure before the new year.
Since mid-December, yes.
Basically, since we did the Manga of 2023 stream.
Correct.
I know that because I had to change the background from that and the title. Well, I didn't change the title, I just sort of took the title away, because why bother writing a title when you can just have the background say it for you? Because, yes,
Excellent question.
we are discussing the Percy Jackson and the Olympians Disney Plus series. I can't really call it a TV series, it hasn't aired on TV.
The live-action streaming series.
Live-action streaming series. It's something that I know Percy Jackson fans have been waiting for at least a decade, I'd say. Would you agree, as one of those aforementioned Percy Jackson fans?
Yes.
I mean, when was the, let's be honest, not particularly well-received movie adaptations?
2012, if I recall correctly.
So yeah, about a decade from then. Oh, the first one was 2010. The first one was 2010.
Yeah, that's right. It was 2010. I think Sea of Monsters was 2012.
Also, man, that had a fucking great cast, those movies. Sean Bean, Pierce Brosnan, Steve Coogan, Rosario Dawson, Uma Thurman.
And they were all wasted.
I'm sure they were, but Sean Bean as Zeus is actually pretty good.
I mean, I'm not going to complain about the casting they had for this one either.
Ray Winston as Ares?
Yep. And funny enough, they didn't have him in the first movie because they fucking just... Yeah, no, they butchered it.
Yeah.
They butchered it.
No, I'm well aware of how badly it was butchered. But thankfully, this was a lot better.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
There are some issues here and there, but it is comparatively incredibly minor.
I mean, yeah, we'll obviously get onto that, but from a more general perspective, I mean, let's talk about how we first basically read the Percy Jackson series, because I mean, I know I read it a little over a year and a half ago, and read all of the first 5 books in about maybe 3 or 4 days at most.
Sounds about right.
How about you? Because I know you've been a fan for far longer.
I got the Percy Jackson book series when I was in like 5th or 6th grade. So well over a decade ago. And so I started reading them right around the point when book 3 came out. I read through all those, and I bought both books 4 and 5 on release and read them like immediately. I spent a good chunk of my childhood and early teenage years just blazing through the books repeatedly.
Book 3 was 2007.
So yeah, I was in 6th grade.
So yeah, this first season, and it is definitely a first season.
They announced a season 2 renewal, yeah.
Literally like maybe fucking 2 days ago.
Yep.
Let's see. Yeah, two days ago.
I'm not gonna complain.
8th of February. Yeah, this just covered the first book, Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief.
Well, it's just the Lightning Thief.
Is it just the Lightning Thief? Whatever.
Percy Jackson and the Olympians, Book 1, The Lightning Thief, if you want to be fancy.
Yeah. And yeah, I think it did a good job. I mean, I reread that first book before watching it just to be able to compare. And while there was definitely, you know, changes, I don't think there were many particularly bad changes.
The changes were honestly mostly understandable. Like, there are a couple I might take issue with, but on the whole, nah, I don't really have much in the way of issues with the series.
I mean, look, we're gonna obviously probably gush about this series quite a bit, so why don't we start with the downsides, which are hopefully relatively few, and then we can just move on to, you know, gushing for a while.
Well, the biggest downside I can think of is they did tweak a lot of tonal things. Like, the kids are overall much more savvy in the adaptation, so there's less like them stumbling into shit because they're you know, kids.
Yeah.
So they actually have like an idea of what they're doing, and as a result, it's like hard to argue that they are, you know, inexperienced.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'd argue that they
that's
still...
more of a tone thing, though.
Yeah, I'd argue that they still stumbled into stuff.
They did. It was just like less obvious stumbling.
I mean, the Lotus in particular, they absolutely just fucking fumbled their way through that.
That they did.
And I think, you know, I think that at least some of the changes that were made were, I mean, some were obviously made for, you know, pacing and budget reasons.
Yes.
But I think others were just based on the fact that, you know, there's no guarantee that Riordan had, you know, all of the details mapped out when he wrote the first book. You know, I'm sure he did
mention, if I recall correctly, at one point that he regretted how he had Gabe killed in the books because it felt out of character for Sally, which is one of the few changes.
Yeah.
It's one of the few changes he approved of in the movie, and they kept it for the series.
Yeah.
Where you know, Gabe gets himself killed by being a dumbass and opening mail that's not for him.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing is that Gabe in the books is a lot worse than he was, certainly in the show. I have no idea.
They toned it down a little bit, but they also made it clear that he was still being an abusive dickhead.
Yes, but
it was
there was, I believe he has said they chose to make it non-physical abuse because it would be
upsetting. Yes.
Yeah. Because it would be against the tone of the show, basically.
Yeah, it would be very tonally. There would be a lot of whiplash, tonally speaking. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, while I'm sure Riordan had, you know, an idea of how the series would go in general terms, I'm willing to bet that there was stuff that he didn't have planned out and that retroactively became a thing, and that he was like, okay, yeah, this is actually a, you know, good place to introduce this aspect. It's something that I wish I'd introduced, you know, when I had written it, but I hadn't thought of it yet, sort of thing.
Oh, I can absolutely see that being the case.
I mean, something that I felt was more apparent in the series was Percy and Annabeth's chemistry, and especially romantic chemistry.
Yeah, no, they have a great vibe with each other in the series.
No, and I'm very much a fan of it. But you know, that's something that, you know, maybe was introduced. I mean, there's also like little stuff because it was pointed out that Chiron is wearing a leg brace, um, which was never pointed out in the book series, as far as I know. And you know, it's a mythology thing, but also a, you know, an inclusivity thing, because you know.
Yeah, no, it's very clever inclusion, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Um. So, I mean, were there any specific changes you didn't like?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head. I wasn't like super like put off by most of the changes, if I'm being honest.
Mm-hmm.
There were a few that I was less than happy with, but overall I do think the changes were mostly on the whole neutral to positive.
Hmm.
Like, I'm trying to think. I can't think of any changes in particular that really stuck out to me as being
I mean,
issues outside of maybe. The pacing might be a little bit janky for some people.
hmm. Um, I mean, I know people complained about the lack of the mechanical spiders in Hephaestus's trap, which
Oh, that's a change that I hadn't thought of. The fact that Annabeth is forced to leave the underworld early before the confrontation with Hades kind of just felt unnecessary to me.
yeah.
Just like, you don't really need to do this. It doesn't really feel like something that's
Hmm.
yeah.
No, I can sort of understand that, yeah. But yeah, so as I said, I've definitely seen people complaining about the lack of the mechanical spiders, and you know, because I know another issue people have had with the show is, and you know, I don't know how much of this you know criticism is in good faith, because it very well might not be. But you know, people have complained about Annabeth being too competent and not having enough of the flaws that she shows in the books, which I don't know. I felt she was pretty flawed.
Yeah, it felt like a reasonable amount of flawedness.
But not to mention, you know, that meant that we had more time in that episode for Ares and Grover, which was a shockingly fun combination.
Yeah, it was very neat. Also, I know you mentioned it before in the Discord, but like, Ares is very well played here.
No, Edge is fucking great. Like, Edge, Adam Copeland, whatever you want to call him. Obviously, you know, wrestling fans are going to stick to Edge, but anyone who doesn't know about wrestling is going to call him Adam Copeland. But, you know, he is just so good at, you know, playing that sort of volatile Ares.
Mm-hmm.
Who, you know, can flip on a dime, which is really good. And as I said, the facial expressions that he was just able to shift from and to, you know, especially in that, you know, back and forth with Grover, was just so incredible. You know, it gives Grover more to do as well.
It does.
Because if I remember correctly, he didn't really do much in the book during that portion. Not off the top of my head,
Yeah, I don't think
anyway.
it did. Yeah, I think he's just sitting on out. Oh, you know what? I do wish that they had more of the animals in the truck on the way to Vegas.
Yeah, But again, that's gonna be something difficult to do with a TV budget.
I know.
I mean, I think that, there is a fair amount of the changes that were made. Certainly, the omissions will be because of budgetary reasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um. I mean, I'm trying to think about what other changes were possibly made. I mean, so basically what I actually ended up doing was I ended up watching the episodes alongside the one reaction group that I watch, Blind Wave.
Mm-hmm.
Because they had a 4-person group watching it, and I think only one of them had actually read the books, and another had watched the movies at one point but really didn't remember much of them, which was a running joke of it.
To be fair, the movies aren't very memorable.
Yeah. I think the joke was that he said he'd watched the movies, but yeah, he barely remembered anything from them. So they're like saying, all you remember is the bathroom scene. But yeah, so I know one reaction they had was they were not fans of Grover after that first episode.
I mean, I get it. That wasn't in the books also.
No, that was definitely a change made for pacing reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, it just... They probably could have found a way for it to work, but,
It would have been difficult.
Yeah, having, depicting the, 6 or 7 months of Percy being paranoid and, Chiron and Grover lying to him and all that sort of stuff. It would probably slow the episode down more than you'd want anyway. Especially when, you do want to end that first episode on the, very impactful scene of the Minotaur attack.
Mm-hmm. That is most likely the best place to end the first episode, and yeah, you gotta pace it out such that it works with everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not exactly an easy thing.
No. And, sometimes, as you said, sometimes the pacing didn't necessarily work. But, I think for the most part, it was a pretty well-paced adaptation of a book.
Mm-hmm.
That's... A lot of the times you are just gonna have to cut stuff from book adaptations because, I mean, look at fucking Lord of the Rings.
Yep.
God, I mean, I re-downloaded the audiobook for that, and I forgot that I was, 7 or 8 hours in, and we were still in fucking Bree.
Jesus Christ.
7 or 8 hours into, I think, a 21-hour book.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's a bit of a slog. So we talked about the casting for the movie. How did you feel about the casting for the TV show?
I think the casting was pretty good, honestly.
I mean, we've already talked about Adam Copeland. As I said, I think fantastic choice, and I just love to see wrestlers succeed in acting roles. Because so many of them...
You got Batista, you got this John Cena.
We're not going to mention The Rock because he barely acts. He's just...
You already mentioned The Rock, though.
Did I?
You just said his name.
I mean, Shut up! I don't want to mention him because he's not that good of an actor.
The Rock plays The Rock, and that's
Yeah,
it.
he basically plays an over-the-top version of himself. Whereas, guys like Edge, Cena, and Batista have some rage. I mean,
Yep.
Batista in particular, Christ, he's a fantastic actor. And the point is that wrestling does prepare them for that sort of thing. So, yeah. And Edge has plenty of experience playing the bad guy.
He has got experience being the heel, I bet. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, other ones. I mean, Jason Mantzoukas as
Dionysus.
Dionysus. Never remember how to pronounce that name. Dionysus.
I'm pretty sure it's Dionysus.
Yeah, was not a casting decision that I expected, but it was one that I think worked very well.
Yeah, I think it was an effective casting choice.
And it's still so funny whenever he just gets Percy's name wrong.
Yes, that is one of my favorite running gags in the series.
Mm-hmm.
Just so fucking funny.
Yeah. And I liked, speaking of the gods, I liked the casting of all of the other gods that we see this season. I mean, we don't see...
Oh, yeah.
We don't see all of them, which is another change from the books, because I believe they were all present at the end when Percy arrived. But...
They were, but it's all, bit parts, so it makes sense why they cut them.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously, don't want to cast them just... They didn't want to have to worry about casting them just yet, when the vast majority of them weren't going to say shit.
Oh, speaking of the gods, I do have one other minor quibble.
Oh?
The whole thing with Athena just fucking over Annabeth because her ego was insulted feels like a bit much of a change from her personality in the books, where she's one of the more reasonable gods. It just felt like a bit unnecessary as a change.
To me, it felt like establishing what was sort of the running theme of the show, which is...
No, I understand that, but
yeah. No, I do get it, but...
Ares is right there.
I know, but, I mean, all of them, to a certain extent, suffered from that, of, worrying and being too fixated on this family drama sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And looking bad to the other gods. Whereas, obviously the point of Percy is that he wasn't raised this way, and so he wasn't, wasn't a part
Percy
of
don't
it.
give a fuck.
Yeah, wasn't part of this bullshit. I think that was a really good scene that was added by, introducing Hephaestus so early. And he probably was one of the...
was good.
And he probably was the god that came out of this looking the best, I would say.
I think it's actually Poseidon who came out looking best.
He's still a deadbeat dad.
It's pretty clear he doesn't have much of a choice in the matter because, Zeus.
Yeah, but still.
No, I get where you're coming from, but I do think, it's pretty clear that there's some degree of fuckery going all around just because of the gods just dealing with all their family bullshit.
Yeah. And it infests the demigods as well. Fucking Clarice is a part of that. For the first part of the show, Annabeth is like that. She's I won't maybe say obsessed, but focused on gaining glory for herself and her mother. And it's only when she spends time with both Percy and Grover, I would say. I don't want to downplay Grover's role in all of this as well, because I do think he plays a part with his consensus song. Very
That's so
funny.
silly.
Very funny. Especially when...
I'm glad they let the kids be silly kids.
Yeah, you know, there's...
Like, that one bit of, like... Okay, I love the description cut as a trope because it's just so fucking funny to me. I love, like, don't worry, he'll be ready. And then it's just Percy just fucking around in the woods while he's waiting.
No, that was fucking great. Fucking flossing, you know, fucking peeing, you know, and you've got to...
Playing with a lizard.
Playing with a lizard. You gotta remember that Annabeth was there the entire time as well.
She did nothing to intervene. It's great. It's absolutely great.
So, you know, one maybe isn't surprised that she doesn't have the highest opinion of Percy at the start.
So fucking funny.
You know, stuff like that.
There's so much of the kids just screwing around and being kids, and it's great.
And I do think that maybe the episodes should have been a more consistent sort of, you know, 40 to 45 minutes rather than 30 to 35.
I'm pretty sure. Hold on, let me check the episode lengths because I think they were longer than that.
Well, you've got to realize that there was like 6 minutes at the end that was just credits.
Yeah. Okay. So
you got to take basically like 6 minutes off each episode.
Including credits, most of them clocked in at about 40 minutes on average.
I don't think that's
so like 30. So episode 1's 39, episode 2 44, 45 for episode 3. Episode 4 is short, so that's 34 minutes. The one thing that is good about streaming is that they can do variable length episodes, so
yes.
It is like they aren't confined by broadcast standards to be a specific length.
But yeah, so as I said, episode 3 was the longest episode, and the credits started.
Episodes 4 and 6 are the shortest.
Yeah, but the credits started about the 40-minute mark. And that
sounds about right.
And that's the longest episode. So yeah, about 5 minutes worth of credits, and so yeah, I don't know. I think if they'd just been a little bit longer, you know, we might have been able to fit in more of that trio shenanigan bullshittery.
I get it, but at the same time, they don't want to pace it too badly, you know?
Yeah, no, I get it. I definitely get it. So yeah, I mean, we got distracted a little bit, but we were talking about casting as well. Lin-Manuel Miranda as Hermes. How do you feel about that one?
It's very very interesting casting, for sure.
Very amusing casting.
Yes. And
I mean, one casting that, I mean, this is an actor I didn't really know about, but one that I really liked was Jay Duplass as Hades.
Oh yeah, no, he worked really well.
I really liked his performance. You know, and it was...
He was just the right combination of affable, menacing, and flamboyant.
I mean,
worked perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, our generation is gonna, when they think of Hades, they're gonna think of, you know, the Disney James Wood version. I think this was definitely a good counterpart to that.
Yes, I agree.
And then, obviously, Lance Reddick, rest in peace, as Zeus, which was fucking hell. He was fantastic.
He was excellent. He managed to do the menacingness really well.
Yeah, no, absolutely played that fantastically. I mean, outside of the gods, I really liked Jessica Parker Kennedy as Medusa. I think she was really good.
She was good.
And Megan Mullally as Electo.
Yeah, I know. She worked really well as well.
I mean, I haven't, particularly watched Parks and Rec. I've watched a lot of clips, but I've never really sat down and watched the entire show.
You really need to fix that.
Yeah, it's again one of those shows that sort of there's too much awkward humor for me. Especially focused around Leslie. So yeah, it's a little difficult for me. But yeah, I did not recognize her at all, despite watching many clips of Parks and Rec with her in it. So.
Mm. A lot of good actors can just disappear into a role, especially when it's just like under makeup.
So yeah, I mean, casting was great. I mean, we also got a couple of Rick Riordan cameos as well, which was neat.
Those are good. I forget where those cameos are though.
So the first, he was a teacher in the headmaster's office at Yancey Academy when Percy was getting expelled. And the second was, I believe, he was the postman statue at the Garden Emporium.
Oh, that's funny. That's a very silly cameo.
Yeah.
He's not going to be doing Stan Lee cameos or anything, but it's still funny.
I mean, I think he posted a picture of it on Threads.
I wouldn't be shocked.
Which is, I hate Threads.
Threads is awful. Don't bother with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, he posted a picture of it. Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else in a general sense to talk about. Just trying to remember off the top of my head what went on in each episode. Oh, did you catch the couple of Nico and Bianca hints in the Lotus Casino?
I believe there was a bit where there was a little boy crying out for Bianca's name, but that's it.
I think there was a second occasion of that, but I never found it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What I do know is that Lotus Casino was not too bad. I am glad they didn't try to insert a Lady Gaga song in there again.
Is that what they did in the movie?
They had fucking Poker Face.
Oh boy.
Look, I like Lady Gaga as much as the next guy. But still, like, no. You do not need to do that.
Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. How did you feel about Percy and the gang actually failing their quest because of their whatchamacallit, detour into the casino? Because obviously that wasn't a thing in the book.
I'm kind of mixed on it because I do like how it, in the show it's like in the books rather it's like super under the wire that they managed to complete the quest, so it feels appropriate. But I don't mind them failing here, just because it's, it's a showcase of their kids. They had a lot of things going against them.
Yeah.
They weren't necessarily going to succeed so easily. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's a thing. It's a whole thing. And I'm kind of just mixed on it.
I mean, to be fair, that's a change that I, did wonder about why it was made. I mean, I can't necessarily think of a reason other than maybe to ramp up the tension a little bit more, or
Oh, it was almost certainly for tension.
But you know, especially with
Well, I think it also serves the purpose of it also helps with Poseidon's characterization as well.
yeah,
In the throne room scene, because it means he has to make a greater sacrifice to preserve Percy's life, sacrificing that which is all important to the gods, their pride.
yeah.
So it does a good job of characterizing him positively there. It's probably the biggest factor, I think, that goes into the change.
Yeah.
And hey, it's not a bad characterization thing.
Not at all. What else was I going to... There was something I was going to say...
Huh? I don't have the ability to read your mind.
I know. Oh, yeah. The scene in the, little restaurant with, Sally and Poseidon.
That was good.
That was very,
very good.
very good. And yeah, if there's anything that made Poseidon look better than he was in the books, that was it.
Yeah, because it makes it clear, like, he wants to see Percy, but he cannot because circumstances.
And you know, more of the kid they got to play young Percy, who was always pretty fucking great.
Yeah, honestly, he's really good for a child actor.
I mean, hey, look, we've talked about other casting decisions. Let's talk about the main trio.
They all worked really well.
I mean, fucking Walker Scobble, just Jesus Christ.
Kid killed it.
Yeah, he felt like Percy.
He basically was Percy.
Yeah. And obviously, Leah Savage-Jeffries and Aryan Simhadri, also both fantastic, both killed it. All three of them were fantastic. I mean, this is gonna make you feel quite old, Jack.
Oh no.
Walker Scobble wasn't born when you started the books. He was born January 5th, 2009. Oh dear. Yeah, that's a hell of a thing.
That's a bullet to my brain pan.
Yeah, that's a hell of a thing.
God. That's what happens when things that you love from your childhood get adapted several years later. The people in the main roles won't be... they'll just... Yeah. God. I feel old now. God damn it.
So, I mean, what are I think we can probably move on to the positives at this point.
Yes.
If we haven't already.
We've already been talking about the positives.
I know, but officially speaking.
Yes.
So, what are some of the positives that you want to, do you in particular want to shout out?
Well, again, all the performances across the board are fucking amazing. Like, I don't think there's a single bad performance in this series. All of them just give it their A game. But shouting out anyone in particular, that's hard because there's a lot of good performances.
Oh yeah, another great moment showing that the trio are kids. Percy driving the fucking Hermes' car out of the garage.
Oh, that was so great.
And actually honking somebody for cutting him off.
This is New Yorker speaking.
Yeah.
Like, you know the kid's from New York because he yells at someone while he's driving.
Mm-hmm.
Out of my way. Yeah, that sounds like Percy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a very fun thing. Yeah, I love that scene. I also just... The sword fight with Ares is also very good.
Mm.
That was adapted very well.
Yeah.
I do like the underworld. I also very much like the whole thing with whatchamacallit? With Cerberus. I love that in the books.
Mm.
So it's very fun to see that get adapted into the show.
Yeah. And I like the way they did it, especially with, Percy and Grover getting up on the wall and, hearing Cerberus in the mist. And then suddenly Cerberus crashes into the wall and
boom, jump scare.
Yeah, a little bit of a jump scare because again, that's something that they can't necessarily do in a book, but just works so much better in a visual medium like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it works really well there. Yeah, they made a lot of good use of like sound and music in this show.
Mm-hmm. I mean, with the Medusa thing, or the Medusa fight in inverted commas, again, using the medium to their advantage and making it that little bit, creepier as Medusa, was basically hunting Percy through all of these statues that she has petrified.
Mm-hmm. I gotta say, I do love how they kind of switched it up how they fought her in the book compared to in the book, but I think it worked really well here.
Yeah. And again, it's part of it is that I would say added conflict, because I don't think it was the same in the books of that arguing between Percy and Annabeth at this stage. Mm-hmm. Having was it Electo on the bus or was it the other one?
It wasn't Electron on the bus, it was the other one.
Yeah. Having the Fury make that offer to Annabeth, and then, Medusa making a similar offer to Percy, but them both turning it down.
Because they're good kids.
Yeah. Again, it does play into that, addition to the series that, wasn't necessarily in the books of, that chemistry between Percy and Annabeth. And again, allows...
Look, I'm not going to fucking complain about that.
No, not at all. And again, it gives Grover more to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because he actually has to, fucking tell Percy and Annabeth to shut the fuck up and stop fighting.
Mm-hmm. He's got to do that conflict resolution thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
funny.
How did you feel about the change of Percy knowing he could save his mum from basically the start of the quest?
I thought it was interesting. It definitely made some things, made some tweaks. Or rather, it kind of shifted the tone of the quest, and Percy, and it kind of like leaned into Percy's whole thing of loyalty being his fatal flaw.
Mm.
Because it did do a lot about the fatal flaws in the series. A lot of groundwork for those.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, good. Like, one of the advantages of an adaptation like this is that you get a lot of get to do a lot of stuff retroactively that you weren't able to do beforehand. Like, this was the case in the One Piece live action as well, like, where they had a lot of extra opportunities to add foreshadowing and shit in there.
Yeah.
When Oda couldn't have done that beforehand because of, you know, the demands of his schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a similar case here.
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely to the show's benefits.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, it definitely does play into Percy's fatal flaw, and it does kind of help us get an idea of what it is early on, even if it's not spelled out explicitly.
Mm-hmm.
But what's your take on that? Bill?
Take on what?
Nope.
Sorry, I was reading something, so I was sort of... I heard bits and pieces.
But what's your take on the whole establishing the fatal flaws early type thing?
I mean... I don't remember the books anywhere near as well as you, so the fatal flaws thing was sort of a... oh yeah, that was a thing that happened. So it wasn't really something I was necessarily focused on. But you know, if it's a central part of later books, I always like when something like the seeds of something like that gets sown early, because it's
and adaptations that come out like well after the series is finished have an advantage in this.
Yeah. Setting stuff up always works better when you can set it up early.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want
you don't want to retcon shit.
Yeah, well, you don't want to retcon shit. You don't want to have, the setup right before the reveal, because then the impact is lost.
5-second foreshadowing is not as good as, 5-hour foreshadowing.
Mm-hmm. So, no, I absolutely approve something like that. I've also remembered that a couple of days ago, I actually I read an article that was like, oh, the Percy Jackson series was boring because it stuck to the books too much. Which, yeah.
I fucking hate those arguments. Those are fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Like, it is the job of an adaptation to do its utmost to adapt the material that they have been given.
Mm.
Like, it is a secondary job to find a way to stand on its own. But it is first and foremost the job of an adaptation to adapt what is being, put forth to be adapted.
Mm-hmm.
Not going to name any names on the stupidity of that argument because we have discussed this ad nauseum in other contexts.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean.
Mm.
Needless to say, it's a whole thing that it is important to. While it is important to stand on for an adaptation to stand on its own, it's also important for an adaptation to represent the work that it is adapting.
Mm-hmm.
And if it fails in that regard, then while it may succeed as its own piece of media, it will have failed as an adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
This has been. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. But yeah, an adaptation doesn't need to be wholly representative of the work it's adapting in order to be a good piece of media. Just look at fucking whatchamacallit, Stanley Kubrick's adaptation of The Shining, for example.
Yeah.
Not super representative of the book, but still a good movie in its own right. It's kind of a piss poor adaptation, though.
Mm.
This one, I think, works both as a fairly good thing in its own right and a pretty damn good adaptation. I wouldn't say it's perfect, but I'd say it's pretty damn good.
I mean, again, part of it is just the limitations of the series.
When you're adapting, you have to keep in mind that that you will always be limited by the restrictions of the medium.
Mm.
Both the original medium and the medium you're adapting into.
I mean,
there's always going to be stuff lost in translation.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of the issue of live action is that more out of this out of this world stuff is you're gonna struggle to be able to do it either at all because of money reasons, or do it in a way that
doesn't look incredibly silly.
Yeah. Because, I'm sure they could have done something like the Mechanical Spiders or Argus the Driver. But, could they have done Argus the Driver without, 90% of his eyes being fucking googly eyes?
No, definitely not.
Could they have done the Mechanical Spiders without it looking like, clearly bad CG on the actors? No, probably not.
No. They did what they could with what they had, and I think they did a pretty damn good job with it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, not perfect, but they did a good job with what they had. And that is what matters most.
Yeah.
And they stuck to the bones of the series as well.
Mm-hmm.
The core of the series, as it were.
I mean, that's the thing, that is sort of the balance you've got to hit with adaptations or the true goal, I think, of adaptations is not necessarily are you doing the same stuff as the book. It's are you representing the same message as the books?
Yes.
That was something that, for example, the Cowboy Bebop live action failed at. It did not.
Yes.
It did not manage to,
It didn't represent the tone or the spirit of the anime.
Yeah. It just didn't manage that. For whether that was intentional or completely accidental, who knows? But
sometimes you want to make your own identity, but a lot of cases, adaptations are not the place to do that. To make your own thing, It's one thing if what you're adapting is something that lends itself well to having very different takes on it. I know anthology stuff would work really well for having an auteur eye just go buck fucking wild with it. But a series like a literary series that has a very consistent tone, message, etc. You don't want to fuck around with that too much.
Yeah.
Adaptation is in and of itself an art of its own, but like.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that's something that I think, for example, the One Piece live action series does. It gets that tone and the general theme of the show right, even though it makes some changes. Same with Percy Jackson here. It makes changes, but they are, they either add to the general theme and message of the series, or they do not take away, or their presence or lack thereof does not take away from the overarching message or theme of the series.
Precisely. And that is the thing, honestly. Like, it doesn't have to, the adaptation doesn't have to be a perfect adaptation of the work that you are making, but like, you gotta at least put in effort to get the tone across.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why bother otherwise?
Yeah.
It's not really much of a point. Alright, Gen, what are you messaging me about now? This. God damn it. God fucking damn it. Alright, moving on.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, there's also the case to me of, like, sometimes things being adapted don't have a firm, like, storyline to them, or have, like, are have very loose source material. And you have shit like the Dungeons and Dragons movie that do a good job with adapting that.
Yeah.
Like, they get the vibe right. And the vibe is probably the most important thing besides the themes and characters you can get right.
Yeah.
And I think this show mostly gets the vibes from the series right, from the books right. The tone is slightly different, but I think the tone shift is kind of necessary for, like,
I think
the new medium.
Yeah, I think it's mostly because, in the books we are seeing everything from first-person perspective in Percy's head. And obviously, we know Percy is a very snarky kid.
Oh yeah, I love Percy's smartass asides.
Yeah.
But, like, to do that in the show, you'd have to have constant narration, and that can get really grating really fast.
Yeah, and it wouldn't have worked. I think the little bits of snark that we do get from Percy throughout are still fantastic.
Mm-hmm. And Percy is still a smartass. He's just like a smartass who that is expressed through the dialogue, not the not narration, because narration works a lot better in books than it does in, like, other mediums.
Or
rather in print media in general. Really, it works better in print media than it does in, say, a movie or a show.
Yeah, episode 3 had a lot of Percy snark, I think.
Yeah, no, Percy is always an off-the-chain smartass, and it's great.
Fucking saying that Thalia met a pinecone's fate. That's a dick move, but also,
You shouldn't say it, but it's funny.
Fitting with what, with how Percy acts. Him starting to sing the song, the consensus song, back to Grover after, Grover exploded on the two of them. Like, that's complete smart-ass thing to do.
In case you haven't noticed, he is impertinent. I love that they kept that line in.
Yeah.
Like, I know they had to change some lines here and there because, changing to the medium and all that, but, like, again, some lines you gotta keep in there, and that was one of them.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt that it's one of the most memorable lines in the series.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Percy being a smartass is also kind of a core of the series as well.
Yeah, it's, he's not Percy without it.
Yeah, you don't have Percy if you don't have a smartass.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it goes.
I mean, when they met Sharon, and he's like, "You're not dead," and Percy's like, "We're all dying to some extent."
Yes, that's so funny.
Or when Sharon...
I missed the giant bathtub joke, but at the same time, it's like, that was also very funny.
Yeah. Or when Sharon blew the dog whistle and Percy's like, "You can buy a new whistle with this, with the bribe I'm trying to give you."
Look, bribery isn't always the answer, but sometimes it is.
It was not the answer here.
No, it was not. Still worth a try, though.
And calling fucking Kronos grandpa.
I love that Sally is just like, please don't call him that.
He's already obsessed with you. Let's try not to encourage him.
Yep. Just the levels of sass with this kid. Walker Skullbell does an excellent job capturing Percy's sassiness.
No, he absolutely does. Absolutely does.
He is a fantastic choice for the role, honestly.
Yeah. It's also funny just going and seeing, like, past roles of his and just going, yeah, that's Percy.
Because it is.
The way he's acting, yeah, that feels like Percy.
It's honestly pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And when you find out he played Mini Ryan Reynolds, like, yeah, that tracks.
Yeah.
I know some people were bitching about him not having the quote-unquote right hair color for the part, but, like, nah, dude. He's got the attitude down fucking pat. He's Percy.
Look, like, the only time that stuff like that really matters is if it's, like, integral to the character or to the story.
People were bitching about how being blonde was integral to Annabeth's character, and it's like, the whole dumb blonde stereotype is a kind of a relic in this day and age.
Yeah. I mean, it
doesn't really have the staying power it used to.
And that's the thing, they did change some stuff because the series is set in, this...
the nebulous modern day.
Modern day, rather than, or, 2020s, let's say, rather than 2005.
Exactly.
Fucking Ares being introduced starting a flame war on Twitter.
Which is 100% in character for it.
100%
Ares.
in character, and still somehow managed to be out of date.
I mean, it really wouldn't be out of date with Ares. You know he'd still be on there.
No, it's more the fact that he called it Twitter, not X.
I think Ares would be the kind of person who would stubbornly insist that it is and always has been Twitter. Thank you very much.
Probably, yeah.
Again, I don't think it's out of character for him. He is all about causing conflict.
Yeah.
But yeah, but yeah, speaking of Ares, he's really good in this. I think we mentioned this earlier, but Edge does a fantastic job, and I do, like you said, the scene with Ares and Grover was fucking excellent.
Yeah.
Like, I do like some of the added scenes that they put in there. The scene with Ares and Grover, the bit with Sally and Poseidon, like, the bit with Grover talking with Chiron and Dionysus. All really good additions.
Yeah. I mean, all of the flashbacks with Percy and Sally I thought were really good.
Those were also incredibly good, yeah. And a lot of that is due to, like, the fact that this is no longer limited by being first person like the books were. And that is a stylistic choice.
I mean,
That's a stylistic choice that has to be made for, like, the new medium.
Yeah, we would never get that Poseidon Sally scene in the books because, that would mean Percy was there for it, which wouldn't fit.
I mean, he technically was there for it. He just, didn't notice.
Yeah. He was too busy staring mournfully at his sundae.
Nope.
Hello?
Oh, there you are. Sorry, what were you trying to say?
But yeah, he was too busy staring mournfully at his sundae.
That was sadly funny. And yes, I do mean that in both senses of the word.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you get scenes like that. You get scenes like basically all the other ones I mentioned. It's really good stuff to expand the story in a way that feels organic, while still keeping the spirit of the books. Because again, Percy wouldn't have been there for any of these, but he would have these. Definitely, it would impact his own stuff. And I think it's important to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, what else is there? Oh, the effects. We gotta mention the effects in this.
The effects were really good.
Yeah. Consistently very well done. Looks good across the board.
Minotaur looked great. Especially especially in that weather. I mean, the Fury's wings always look good. The Chimera looked good.
All good stuff, honestly.
I mean, Cerberus as well. Cerberus looked great.
And honestly, like, the environmental stuff also looks good. Like, Olympus looks fucking gorgeous.
Oh no, Olympus looked really good. I thought the Underworld looked really good as well.
It's all very well portrayed. And you can't get that kind of stuff without good effects.
Oh yeah. So Annabeth being stuck at the Asphodel Fields, is that not setting up some future regret that Annabeth has?
Oh, it almost certainly is. I can think of what it might be setting up, honestly, but I don't imagine that'll be addressed until later on in the show.
Probably not, and fingers crossed. We will get more than or we'll get even more seasons after this, because this is really enjoyable.
Yeah, no, it's really good. There's not much to say about this other than good adaptation. The performances were good. The effects were good. Minor nitpicks here and there. It's not something you can really milk 2 hours out of, but I don't think you really need to. Like, the show's episodes didn't need to be a full hour long to get what they needed to say across. I think they did a pretty bang-up job with what they had for time.
I mean, like I said, I do wish they were just a little bit longer and we could get more, a little bit more trio shenanigans. Like, I don't think
I do agree there. I
don't think we needed.
Look, I'm never one to pass up on trio shenanigans.
No, and I don't think we needed every single little detour that was in the books, because unlike another live action series that we know of that is apparently cutting out the many detours, it wasn't really the point in Percy Jackson,
Oh boy, what series are you referring to? I can think of a couple.
Last Airbender.
God fucking damn it. I'm gonna be so pissed about that series, I just know it.
Yeah, no, it's almost an inevitability.
They're shooting themselves in the foot by outright saying in pre-release material that they are doing all this shit.
And that's the worst thing about
sorry.
it. They had such a good thing going when they released the trailer. Everyone that I know was like, yeah, this actually looks pretty good. I'm looking forward to it now. And then they opened their big fucking mouths, thinking, this'll up the hype for the show even more. No, you fucking ruined it, you dumbasses.
There's shooting yourself in the foot, and then there's shooting yourself in one foot, taking aim with a shotgun at the other foot as soon as you are done bleeding. Just what are you thinking?
I mean,
you fools.
To use the same phrasing I did for Wonder Egg Priority, they have taken a shotgun and shot off both feet, shins, and knees.
Yep, that tracks.
Oh, here's one little scene that I'm, not necessarily disappointed that wasn't included, but still a little sad. Percy making sure that nearly the entirety of Los Angeles called up Gabe looking for a home appliance.
Oh yeah, that was a good scene in the books. I'm sad that they cut that.
That was a very funny scene in the books.
Oh well. Can't be helped, I suppose. It is what it is.
Try to think of anything else to mention off the top of my head before I actually have to go start looking for stuff.
There's nothing I can think of. What's getting your goat?
I mean, I'm just reading an article about the biggest book details missed out.
Hmm.
And again, it's stuff that I can sort of understand. I mean, the Pit Scorpion and the Hellhound.
Yeah, some of it was kind of necessary. Oh, you know what? I missed the scene of them dealing with the whatchamacallit, the Chimera. The whole bit where it's like actually just where it starts off as like a poodle that they have to interact with.
Yeah. I
missed that bit.
Though I did like the scene with Echidna on the train. I think that was I thought that really ramped up the tension well.
Oh, it did. It also just did a good job of going hard into the idea of what Echidna basically is acting like. She's acting like a fucking Karen.
Yeah. And, the hilarity of everyone else seeing this fucking little, what was it, a Pomeranian?
Pomeranian, yeah.
Chasing the trio, and then obviously we know it's the fucking Chimera.
Yeah. Just excellent contrast. Yeah, I just really enjoyed this overall. I think it's very good.
Yeah.
Is it perfect? No. But I am not going to complain.
No, not at all. I mean, I do wonder if there's an element of slightly lower standards given the movie. Or
Oh,
movies.
almost certainly.
Like, I wonder if the reaction would have been quite as positive if those movies hadn't been made.
I think they would have been slightly more middling, but at the same time, like, I still think the show has plenty of stuff going for it to justify praise.
No, absolutely, absolutely. Oh, that's something we can do. So Rick Riordan posted a lot about the series and some behind the scenes stuff. It's honestly interesting seeing how many of the actors were like basically have kids that are Percy Jackson fans.
I'm not shocked. Percy Jackson's been a big thing for quite a while.
Yeah. So, Jay Duplass has kids who are Percy Jackson fans. Lin-Manuel Miranda's son is a Percy Jackson fan.
Good.
Who else was there? There was more people. Timothy Omenson, the actor who played Hephaestus.
Timothy Omenson is so underrated as an actor, honestly.
Fairly sure his kid was a Percy Jackson fan. Who else? Oh, apparently, so Walker Scobell obviously had to put on makeup to look as ill as he does during episode 4 after getting stung by the Chimera.
Yeah.
Apparently, people kept seeing him and going, "Oh no, are you okay? Do you want to lie down? Can I get you some chicken soup?"
Oh my god. That's so funny.
Yeah.
And by the looks of it, they didn't need to put on much makeup to make him look sick. Because he's a very pale dude.
Yeah. So, another little behind the scenes thing. The reason they had Annabeth instantly recognize what Auntie M's place was and who Auntie M actually was because they realized that it would kind of not make sense that, Annabeth, who is a, intelligent character, would not recognize it.
Yeah, it would definitely stretch credibility. Or credulity, rather.
Yeah. So, that's, again, positive change for to improve somebody's character.
Mm-hmm. So a reasonable step in that direction.
Oh yeah, that's something we haven't discussed yet. How did you like Krusty and his waterbeds?
I wish we had more time with him.
Yeah, the actor was very good. Who was it? Just one. Julian Richings.
Yeah, no, he was a good actor, and I liked the scene in the book a lot, so I am kind of disappointed it got trimmed down so much. But Krusty survives in this one, so that's a plus, I guess.
He can show up again.
Honestly, that would be pretty fucking funny if they did that.
I did just like him, like when the trio was stood across from or stood in front of the door to the underworld. He's like, nobody comes back. Shut up. We're talking here.
Very funny.
Yeah, no, the humor in the show definitely.
I think it worked quite well.
Definitely on point. I mean, do you want to see if we can keep going, or do you want to just bring it to a close here?
I don't think we need to stretch this out any further than we already have. Again, like, there's only so much that needs to be said about this show. It's a very good show. It does a lot of good work with adapting what's there, and yeah, that was good. I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't necessarily have the attachment to the series that no, you or the long-time fans of the books do have, but I honestly really enjoyed it.
It's a good series.
And I'm really looking forward to more.
I do wonder if they're just going to stick with adapting the original Percy Jackson series, or if they're going to go farther. Because this is quite the potential moneymaker for Disney, if we're being honest.
We'll see. I don't want to, you know...
I'm not expecting anything.
Yeah.
I just want to say that right now. I'm just saying, like, I am curious about that. It's probably too soon to say for sure in either direction.
Yeah, I
don't want to get my hopes up, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's kind of like with fucking Shonen Jump, and can I just say, fuck Shonen Jump for axing Martial Master Asumi, because I was really enjoying that.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. I'm just not sure if
that's Shonen Jump for you.
I just don't know if Jump actually wants a fucking sports series in the magazine anymore. I don't know.
What was their last big sports moneymaker? Was it Haikyuu?
It was Haikyuu.
That ended a couple years ago now.
2020, I think.
Fuck.
I mean, let me just quickly check, but I'm fairly sure it was Haikyuu.
This does get into the biggest weakness of serialized media, though, which is that, like, you never know for certain where it's going to end if it's, you know, bound within capitalism's restraints, because capitalism is a fucking broken system.
Yeah.
But you already knew that.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure it was... I mean... Yeah, no, Haikyuu finished after Hidemaru Sumo, so yeah, Haikyuu. Because every other sports series that started since has gotten very thoroughly axed for good reasons or bad
Well, isn't
reasons.
Blue Box ongoing?
Oh, Blue Box, yeah, I guess that counts, but it feels more... It doesn't feel like an outright sports shonen series, does it? Otherwise, you wouldn't be reading it.
Correct. You know me so well.
Yeah. This is also coming off the back of fucking Cypher Academy ending, question mark, whether it got axed or just ended, I don't know. But, you know.
It's hard to tell with Nishio Ishin.
I'm still sad about it.
You have every right to be.
Anyway, so yeah, so back onto the point I was making before I got sidetracked. Yeah, it's like with Jump, you never know what these fucking streaming series or streaming services are gonna do. whether they are actually going to commit to, a long-running series, or if they're just going to go, can't be arsed paying the money for this anymore, let's axe it.
To be fair, in this case, it seems likely that Disney is going to stick with it for the long haul of at least the original series, because it's a pretty good bet for a franchise that has a built-in fan base.
Yeah.
Not to mention, the first season was pretty damn well received, so...
No, absolutely. And, we can certainly cross our fingers and hope that that's going to be enough. But as I said, it's hard to get invested in that sense.
No, I understand. But if there was ever a safe bet, this is probably the safest bet.
I mean, the only other thing that's a safe bet is the fucking One Piece live action.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know how long they're going to go with that one.
That one's a little trickier to go, yeah, they should do all of it, because doing all of it is going to take so long.
It would be a huge time and money sink for Netflix.
We can still be hopeful.
Oh, I'm hopeful. I am just realistic about my expectations there.
Yeah. How long do you think it's going to go?
At best, to the time skip. At worst, it'll probably wrap up with Alabasta.
That wouldn't be terrible.
Yeah. We do have a second season guaranteed, so they are going to do the Alabasta saga. It's a question at this point of how far into that, how far after that saga they'd adapt.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I think we can just about wrap this up. Percy Jackson is a very good series.
Both books and show. Yeah. I still recommend reading the books, though, because the books are fantastic. Just know that they are intended for, the same demographic as Shonen Jump, basically.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. When I did read the books, I very much did have that impression of, yeah, this very much feels like young adult literature, and not even necessarily in a bad way. That's just what it is.
That's what it's aimed for. That's the demographic. And also, no shame on people for enjoying that.
No, absolutely not. As long as it gets you reading, enjoy what you fucking enjoy.
Exactly.
But yes, let us wrap it up then. Terms of, so thank you everybody for watching first and foremost. In terms of future stuff, tomorrow, no D&D tomorrow, so we'll probably either be doing JoJonopoly or the One Piece character tier list. We'll see.
Which we will hopefully be wrapping up the next time we do it.
Yeah.
Or at least wrapping up the placement portion.
We'll still probably have to have another stream after that of just checking things over, but, it is what it is.
And making adjustments within the tiers and all that shit.
Yeah. Tuesday and Thursday. Tuesday probably will be Persona 5 Royal. Thursday will probably be whatchamacallit, Ace Attorney, Apollo's Justice. Apollo Justice?
Apollo's it's not Justice? Apollo's Justice. It's Apollo Justice.
Apollo Justice. Honestly, I actually went back and watched our first stream for OG Ace Attorney. It's kind of funny how completely into its bullshit we already were.
I'm not shocked.
Like, instantly. But, yeah, and then next Saturday, I believe we might have something planned. It's something we gotta figure out first, which will probably happen after the stream tomorrow, I would guess at. Yep. But it could be something very interesting, so, keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, again, thank you for watching. Please do give us a follow here on Twitch and all that YouTube stuff.
Like and subscribe if you've not already. Press that bell icon to get notifications when we upload a new video. And don't forget to subscribe. Or rather, I already told you to subscribe. Don't forget to leave a comment down below.
And otherwise, have a good night, and hopefully we will see you tomorrow for Tillistor Joe Ginopoli. Good night.
Later.